Hello there! It's Friday, which means it's time once again for the best movie podcast ever. The only movie podcast to offer objective and hyperbole-free discussion of every movie in the known universe. I am your host, the podcaster with no name, Konrad, and with me as always, he's our very own everything bagel, it's Anthony James.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night everywhere. All that sort of thing all at once. How are you, Konrad?
Nailed it. I'm very well. Now, I'm gonna give. I always do this at the beginning. I've just had a thought, so I need to give the listeners a peek behind the curtains. Anthony did reveal to me that he hasn't seen this movie in about 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? You said?
Yeah,
like
3 or 4 weeks, like a month. Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether the Everything Bagel reference has landed there, but we'll see.
I remember. No. I do remember the Everything Bagel, because that's
okay. Fine.
Yeah, no, I do remember that part. Yeah.
Because this is essentially like a litmus test. We're doing like a live fire exercise where I see how much Anthony remembers of this movie without completely giving the game away. That's the
hilarious thing about that is, Konrad, the Everything Bagel is literally like one of the most important things of the movie. So if I didn't remember that, that would be bad.
You say that, but I saw this movie like 2 weeks. No, it's more than 2 weeks now. It was probably about 3 weeks ago for me as well, to be honest, for the first time. And I came to write the podcast script for it, and I was thinking, oh, this is fine. I'll remember this easily, and I'll pull out everything important. I had to go and rewatch the movie again because I was like, I don't remember any of this. Like I remember Michelle Yeoh's in it. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once, by the way. It's the movie that we're going to be discussing today, just in case you haven't been able to intuit that from the Everything Bagel. I don't know if my cat just made it.
Yeah. The cat was hanging around there for a while.
Yeah, an errant cat. One of my many errant cats just leapt across the frame. Here comes the other one.
I don't think they can see it.
Rather.
I'm gonna cut that out, but there is a cat there, and everyone should know that.
I was gonna move the camera, but that'll fuck it up. Okay, that's enough. That's enough cat talk. Enough cat chat. Without further ado, let's talk about some gosh darn movies.
Let's do it.
Movies, multiverse ones specifically. That's what we're here to talk about today. We have left the Batman multiverse, and we're into the one that Michelle Yeoh lives in. Have you seen Yo? That's a very very Northern Irish expression.
Yo.
Have you seen any of Dan Kwan or Daniel Scheinert's other movies before this? That's my first question to you.
I don't think I've ever heard their names before.
No, me either. I've heard Swiss Army Man, which is the one about Daniel Radcliffe being a farting corpse who like falls in love with someone, I think. I've heard that's very good.
I just remember seeing that trailer and then thinking, I gotta see that. That's all I remember about it.
Yeah, and then you never did, which is the
I never did,
which is the sign of a great movie. We in the United Kingdom got green knighted with this one. It didn't come out in the UK and Ireland until 2 months after its US release, which was a bit shit. So that's why we're talking about this now, because it's still kind of relatively fresh in the memory.
Yeah.
We're excited to talk about it because not to give the game away, but I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it too. Like, it's a real kooky movie, which is trying to do some really cool things with like multiverses and like, but also isn't afraid of just being absolutely wacky, which is fantastic. And I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah, when I mean, not to tout my own letterbox, but when I finished this and wrote a review for it, the first thing I thought of was basically a Jackass joke where it's Dave England going, "Hi, I'm Dave England, and welcome to 2001: A Space Odyssey," because that's what this movie felt like to me. Is that basically the Jackass crew made a remake of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and this is what we ended up with, and it's pretty good. It's as good as it sounds. Before we do that, however, I almost missed this. I was so enthusiastic with persevering straight into the meat of this delicious sandwich that I didn't stop to appreciate what I guess would be the crust in this metaphor, and that is, of course, your favourite and mine. That's right, it's the game show segment that everyone's talking about. It is Back to the Feature. I can't remember.
That's much more generic music than that.
Okay, good. Yeah, Daniel Bryan will be on us if we, or Bryan Danielson, they will be on us if we use the final countdown. Right. Welcome to Back to the Feature.
We're here.
That was a very anticlimactic introduction to that. Imagine if game shows started that way. It's like, right, we're here. So everyone settle down.
Yeah, and then just like a 10 seconds of silence. Right, okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, like a teacher just settling the room down after an afternoon break. This is the exciting game show where I have selected a movie from around the time of release of the movie that we're here to talk about. Anthony will hear 5 clues and have 5 opportunities to guess this movie, and each clue he hears lowers the amount of points he will score. And please keep track at home because I'm not going to do it, and play along as well. See if you can get it. This one, this should be bloody straightforward, to be honest.
Okay, good.
Because this came out. Oh, I've actually done, you know what? I've done this wrong. Oh, you know what? I've done this wrong. I'm just looking at the date now, and I'm like, there's no way that's right. But we're just going to do this anyway, right? So it should be, in theory, if I'd have done this correct. Look, it was always a matter of time until I got one of these wrong. In theory, this should come out. This should have come out at exactly the same time, or around about the same time as the movie that we're here to talk about. But the movie that we're here to talk about came out this year, in like kind of, I think it was March 2022.
Yeah, not for us though.
No, this came out in June, like a few months ago. But the release date of the movie that I've selected for Back to the Feature came out in March 2021. So that's your first clue, and that's the year that we're playing with for this. Because I'm not gonna do it on the fly.
Literally 1 year ago.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, let's just pretend that was deliberate and say it would have been way too easy if I did a movie from 6 months ago.
Yeah, like you're usually meant to do it from like ages ago because we're going back to the feature. But
yeah, I stopped doing the 25 years ago thing because it was too unreliable.
Yeah, that's no bother. So March 2021. Now this might sound like this is easier. This is easier than before, but there was a good period of time I didn't really go to the cinema, and you can imagine why, I'm sure. So, for the sake of being quick, I'm just going to say, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Ralph Breaks the Internet?
Yeah, that came out last year. It didn't.
No, a couple of years ago.
It was not Wreck-It Ralph 2. Yeah, that was like 2019, I think. Okay, if that didn't help you, then this one probably won't either. Your next clue is how much it grossed. It made.
This is a fix, everyone.
It's always the same structure. This is the new structure.
What am I supposed to do? Go and study how much films made.
It gives you a sense of the scale.
Oh, okay.
This grossed $503 million dues.
Okay, so that's a lot. So even in Australia, that's a lot of dollary dues. Right. $503 dues, 2021, March 2021. I have no idea. I'm gonna go for, what do you call her? Black Widow.
That's actually not a bad guess. I think that did come out
June, I think it was.
That did come out last year, but I think it was summer. It's not that. Okay, your next clue is the tagline of this movie. This is where things start to get a little interesting. The tagline for this movie is God versus King.
I remember you talking about this. Yeah. Now,
movie,
do I get the title right? Because we know with the Die Hard ones, you were very panicky over the titles for those. Okay.
Your Die Hard answers were completely wrong. They were like Die Hard 4,
Die Harder,
Die Hardest.
Yeah, that was pretty close. All right, I'm probably gonna go for Kong versus Godzilla. Is that what it was called?
Let me just check with our computer. We're going to give it to you. It is actually Godzilla versus Kong is the name of the movie. But
I should have known that because it was God versus King or whatever.
God versus King. I thought that would give it away, but apparently not.
But I just can't. I just think that Kong versus Godzilla sounds better than Godzilla versus Kong. I don't know why.
That's because you're racist against lizards. You want the monkey on top.
Surely would that be racist? Surely that'd be speciesist.
Species. Well, I don't know. You have to ask Godzilla. See how he feels about it. Or they. I don't actually know what gender Godzilla is, unfortunately. The other clues for this, that is correct. So you get 3 points. So well done to you.
Thank you.
Well done to anyone at home who got that. Then or sooner.
I'll not be sleeping on the couch tonight. I'll not be sleeping on the couch tonight. 3 points is the minimum Ema told me to get. So
yeah, 3 points. That's championship material right there. You get that every week. You're in the title picture at the end of the season. Yes. The other clues would have been, of course, it starred Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, and Rebecca Hall. And the final one would have been the plot line of the movie, which is the epic next chapter. Oh, I can't even speak. The epic next chapter in the cinematic monsterverse pits two of the greatest icons in motion picture history against each other. The fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance. And if you don't get it after that, what the fuck are you even doing?
Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
Yes, that's in the Monsterverse as well.
Wasn't there some sort of, was that the Monsterverse or was it some other verse they were trying to do?
No, that was, it was like, I mean, I think it was called something like that, but it was like the Universal Pictures monsters.
Creatureverse or something.
They wanted to have they wanted to have fucking Dracula and the Invisible Man and a Frankenstein in there somewhere, I don't know.
Brilliant.
It was a ridiculous idea. Anyway, that's the end of that. We've done that, so now we're moving on to Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was a 2021 release, came out March for them, they're Americans, June for the rest of us. Directed by Daniel Kwan.
Released. You're a year behind there.
2022. I've got it written down.
Just in case anyone's gone, using our podcast for the date. I've just got to keep you right there.
Yeah. Listen, I had COVID twice, all right? Like,
that's true.
These notes were written while in the stupor of COVID. It's directed by Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Hsu, who's very good, Kei Kwan, returning to movies for the first time in bloody ages, really. He was short round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I can't remember the name of his character in The Goonies, but he was in that as well. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis in an interesting role. How did you find this movie? Let's just get that out of the way. We've kind of already talked about it a bit.
Brilliant. It had a lot of things I like. I like wacky films. I like goofy films. I like films with some heart. I like films where people need to find their true self. I also like films, as people might be well aware, with some sort of dimension travel / time travel. Now, there wasn't technically that much time travel in this film. There. But they had me covered with the multi-reality dimension stuff, and let me tell you, I thought the way they introduced that with Waymond Wang was the name of the character.
Waymond,
Waymond. The way they introduced that with his little like sort of Matrix-esque get in the coat closet. I thought that was fantastic. It was proper Alice down the rabbit hole opening to this and I absolutely loved it. Loved it.
There really is a lot of the Matrix to this. It's a fascinating blend of different movies because it's kind of like, so Evelyn, Michelle Yeoh's character, learns that she can verse jump during a meeting at a tax office via her husband from another universe called Alpha Waymond, who informs her that she's the only one who can stop a villain called Jobu Tupaki from destroying the universe, who turns out to be Alpha Joy, her daughter. And then there's lots of jumping around into different bodies and doing all sorts of fun things. And you're absolutely right. That introduction is very much like she's beginning to believe, as she says earnestly that she loves Jamie Lee Curtis's character as she does like a flying punch down the stairs to try and attack them. And it's just full of cool moments like that.
Really interesting.
Jumping, I think, is I think it's just like the reason that and I'm sure the reason that you weren't sure how much of this you would remember, and the fact I needed to watch it again, is that there's so much in this movie. Like, I don't think the title is just a clever title with reference to the themes of the movie. It's just like packed full of action sequences and crazy visuals, and there's also like a family drama in there as well that's really, really well realized, I think. So this family, this mother and father and their daughter, who has, I don't know if it's implied that she's recently come out to them as gay, but like certainly it's not been accepted fully by Evelyn at the point that we join this family in the movie. So there's like these like underlying tensions in this family, and it's so well explored via all these different versions of herself that Evelyn sees. I love the martial arts style one that she goes to, where Michelle Yeoh just gets to do Michelle Yeoh stuff and beat the fuck out of people.
Yeah, it's like she gets her abilities. Basically, she gets her abilities from other versions of herself, and she can like download them into herself, Matrix style. And I think it's really interesting that she actually goes to almost somewhere that might be actually our universe to get Michelle Yeoh's martial arts ability downloaded within her. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I also I really enjoyed the family dynamic. I think this film sort of goes into the basket with the other films from recent years, like the Turning Red film, as well as that Encanto. Interesting, like mostly Disney films these days, but where it's very much about parents and grandparents and things realizing the wrong that they've done to their children. So this is a real trend within like maybe it's because like people from our generation who are finally understanding where like trauma and things come from, and they're able to like speak about it more openly.
Could be people out of our generation. Yeah, I think it's people of our generation are of an age now where they're the ones making movies.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Look at all the damage that my parents did to me. Thanks very much, Mum and Dad.
Let's make a film
saddling me with this baggage.
Yeah, make a film for the catharsis that I can't get in real life. So that seems to be going on an awful lot. So I think it implied, obviously she had an issue with the same-sex relationship that her daughter was in, but I think as she came to terms with it, as she started standing up to her own father, I almost feel that it was the influence of the father which was making her also be hesitant towards it. So once she actually was able to reject her father in a way, it meant that she could then be a better mother to her daughter. So it's like sort of generational trauma, generational bias, in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well there is... So this movie kind of races through its initial setup of its premise, which we've just kind of covered there with the reverse jumping to get abilities. But it does that because it's in service of getting to the character drama. And I think you're absolutely right there. But I think as well, Evelyn's verse jumping is all kind of this metaphor for this mother who has been like overwhelmed by a sense that she has failed to amount to anything, and she's kind of seeing all these versions of herself, whether they're successful actresses or chefs who exist in a live action version of Ratatouille called Raccacoonie, which is just the best thing in this movie.
well the thing is, the really interesting thing about that is, my wife pointed out, is that the character we're following, right, the Evelyn that we're following, is in like sort of jumped to a different universe for a particular part, and she's speaking to her family from that universe, and it's sort of, she's speaking about the film Ratatouille, but she says Raccacoonie, and then the rest of them are like, what are you talking about? It's Ratatouille. And she's like, no, it's Raccacoonie. So that means that the character that we've been following the whole time is from a universe that had the film Raccacoonie, not Ratatouille.
Yeah.
And then there's another universe.
It's about a chef with a raccoon in his hat who helps him to be a chef.
But that's the thing though. The character we're following is from the universe where that's a film, but then there's another character who works in the restaurant with the chef with the raccoon.
I don't know that Michelle Yeoh's the character in this movie is from a universe where the movie is called Raccacoonie. I think she just forgot it was called Ratatouille.
No, I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. Because she wasn't in her own. I think what's outrageous is, I think it's more
because her husband and daughter know it's called Ratatouille.
She's not in. No, she's not in her own universe at that point. That's after she started jumping. No, she's not. It's after.
No, she's back in her universe.
She never goes back. No. Everything happens in other universes after. So whenever she, well, maybe I haven't said this for a month, but whenever she goes to the tax place and then starts getting attacked, that's like our version of Evelyn stays in that place the whole film. Everything else that happens outside of it, like
that is true.
Everything else that happens outside of it from that point on.
Yeah, you might be right, but I think she gets her version of Waymond and Shu to join her in whatever, because they're having like a father son or a familial moment there where like, because James Hong is like, you have to kill your version of Stephanie Shu to
yeah, but that was in the version that was in the version of the universe. So that was in the version of the universe where the grandfather was this like evil guy with this really cool office, because they had that conversation in his office, and that wasn't like the real world where they're from. The grandfather just lived upstairs in the laundromat. You know what I mean? He wasn't that guy. So
no, that wasn't his office. You see the S&M guy. It's the S&M guy's office, because she jumps into the maid so she knows where the button is to open his secret S&M room. James Hong is just there being James Hong.
Yeah, but that's not in. I personally believe, maybe I need to watch it again, Conrad. But I personally believe that wasn't in their original universe. Yeah. So the fact of this whole conversation is that I do believe she's from a universe with a film called Rakakuni, and I think that it's far too much of a coincidence that she dreamt up the name Rakakuni, and then there did in fact be a Rakakuni universe.
I will say for the purposes of that movie existing, that I think that looks a lot better than Ratatouille. To be honest, I love the shitty animatronic raccoon they get. It just like it looks so like moth-eaten and horrible.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a real raccoon. It's fantastic. How did you feel? There's so much jumping around in this that it's kind of hard to really talk about in any kind of chronological or even sensical order. But so you've got Joy as Joby Tupaki, who I love, like the way she kind of like changes channels to find what universe.
That's cool. Yeah,
Evelyn is in. She kind of like tilts her head. There's so much like visual flair like that, and I love it. And the scene where she kind of reveals how powerful she is against the police, where we get the first of many wrestling moves that appear in this in this movie, and it's this blend of incredible like visual flair, I guess, like these bright colors, and she's turning guys into glitter, and you know, she's like she turns one guy into like a I don't know what they're called, like the Carmen Miranda, who's like the famous like dancer with like the banana hat and all that kind of stuff from like the 60s. It turns one of the cops into one of them, and then he gets shot a bunch of times, and then she pile drives one of them, and you just see his head like turn backwards as she does it. And it's this like just this sensory assault of like, oh my god, there's so much stuff happening in this at the moment, and all of this is happening while I think she's wearing like an Elvis jumpsuit in this scene too. It's unbelievable the amount of stuff that they fit into that. But all of that pales into comparison, I'm sure you'll agree, with the Jamie Lee Curtis hot dog fingers universe that we get to spend a significant amount of time in this movie, and which I personally love. I wish I lived in that universe.
It's anyway, that was out of the blue, that one for me. Like that was crazy.
It just keeps on going as
also well. I love as well in that universe that's how she's able to use her toes, like the dexterity of her toes is because in that universe they can't use their fingers.
I like what she's playing. I think it's Claire de Lune by Debussy that she plays with her feet, which is just amazing. And I just love the consistency with which they return to that joke. So it happens the first time because Evelyn hasn't learned or has jumped before she's really nailed down where she wants to go. So she's not going to create an image in her head. Exactly. She slingshots to who knows where, and she comes back and she's got hot dog fingers, and it's a hilarious joke. And then it goes back to it again, and you see the like fake version of The King and I that they were watching on the TV.
Yeah.
But it's being performed by the actors with hot dog fingers, and they're like squirting ketchup and mustard into each other's mouths. And it's like, okay, that's pretty funny. And then it goes into a romantic relationship between her and Jamie Lee Curtis's characters, where they're like constantly caressing each other with their hot dog fingers and playing a duet of Claire de Lune with their feet. It's unbelievable that they did as much work on that as they did.
Like, this is the type of film where I really really do question, how do you begin to write this? Like,
yeah, like, how do you say no as well? Like, what were the ideas that they said, that's too crazy, don't put that in?
Yeah. Well, like literally one of the big sort of crescendo moments of the film is her in the body of a version of herself climbing onto the shoulders of a man to control his hair, like in Ratatouille, to make him run after his raccoon that's got taken away by the pest inspector or whatever.
It's so good. And you know, just to briefly like round out this visual discussion, there's moments of hand-drawn animation in this. There's one universe where they're just rocks.
Yeah,
her and Joy are just rocks having a conversation with each other. It's unbelievable. It's so good. In
that moment where they were both rocks was an example of me. Like, you know, when you watch a film sometimes and you think to yourself, "Oh my god, I'm so glad they made that decision." I thought like the big like dramatic moment at the end where her and her daughter come to terms and able to see what they did wrong. I thought to myself, when that happened, and like they were just rocks, I was like, "Oh my god, is this all we're gonna get? Is this going to be the big dramatic ending of the film?" And while watching it, I was like, "I love that they made that decision." And then whenever they went on to have more later, I was like, "Okay, well." At the time, I thought it was great, but now that we're getting this, I actually like this decision better. But it's one of those things that convinces you. It's like, oh my god, if they just did this, that would be hilarious. You know what I mean?
And I think by that point in the movie, they have earned the trust of the audience. Like, you're at the point where you're like, whatever you want to do, wherever you want to take me, I'm coming with you for the journey, because you've done so much with what you have so far.
Them being rocks does completely break the model of what they were going for, though, in terms of going into the bodies of alternate selves. It does completely break that. I'm not even going to entertain anyone trying to explain to me why it doesn't. It does break that, but I'm happy. I'm okay with that.
But what if those rocks were actually like biological entities that just looked like rocks?
Yeah, like maybe they're in the future and actually they're like the fossils of their body are within the rock or something.
Yeah, or they're just like hermit crabs or something.
You got me.
Got him. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They do this rock thing, and then it just it escalates into this very touching mother-daughter storyline, which is really like what carries the movie to its final conclusion. So you have all of this craziness. With them jumping around different universes to do martial arts fight scenes, to do animated stuff, to do crazy violent things to cops, to establish Joby Tupaki as a threat. And then you get this like existential conflict where you think that Evelyn might sacrifice the fate of the universe because Joby Tupaki basically says like, I was like pushed to this by you. Or by the alpha version of herself. This is Alpha Joy as Joby Tupaki, and Alpha Evelyn pushed her to do it. And she recognizes in that desperation the same thing that her father did to her, and that she is doing to her version of Joy. And it's like this nihilism of her daughter, like, which is where the everything bagel comes from. Where I can't actually remember what the MacGuffin is, what they need to do to the everything bagel to make it destroy everything. I think they need to add something to it, but. It basically becomes this thing that if Evelyn allows, will destroy all of reality. And then there's this like really touching realization where she essentially realizes that she needs to be kind to others in order to kind of save herself. And as you've identified, she just goes around the other universes. She helps Rakakuni guy get his raccoon back by piloting him like a mobile suit to get his raccoon back. And then there's this amazing fight sequence where she is like kissing people and like reminding them of like lost loves or something in slow motion. It's so good. And then of course we get what I think, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, is the creme de la creme, the pièce de résistance of this entire movie, which is where the bald-headed security guard who is working for James Hong needs to jump to acquire martial arts skills to fight her, and jumps butt first onto a butt plug in order to then attack her, which he then fights her with it inserted into
Oh
himself.
my
which
god!
Is just, it's just there's so much toilet humor in this.
That was very disconcerting. I have to say that was but that's one of those wacky moments.
Like, beats a police officer to death.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just one of those wacky moments. Like, if someone asks you what this film's about, like, all you could say is it's this crazy, goofy, mission through realities to shut down an everything bagel. It's like, how do you even do a log line of this film?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've got a toilet humor section in my notes here. So we've got the butt plug martial arts fight scene. There's two guys with things up their asses. One of them has a trophy shaped like a butt plug. The other one has another trophy, I think, which isn't shaped like a butt plug and must have been very uncomfortable to insert. But they get it helps them jump. Then you have Joy beating one of the police officers to death with a dildo bat. Like his baton turns to like a big floppy dildo, and then she beats him to death with it. You have them doing like. When Joy initially opens Evelyn's mind, you have I can't really do it on a podcast format, but did you ever do the thing where you like open your hands like this to make it look like a vagina? Yeah, that's what they do.
Well,
they
I've seen it
vagina
before,
thing with their hands. They put their fingers together.
What the hell?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we're all up to in school.
Yeah, and what was through there again? I can't remember. Like there was something through there, like another universe.
That's how they get to like the everything bagel. Like they get through this like vaginal canal, vaginal canal. And then you obviously have the animatronic Rakakuni, and you have Jenny Slate showing up, John Ralphio's sister from Parks and Rec, who then does nunchucks with a Pomeranian on a lead, and at some point Michelle Yeoh just bats it away, and it just pinwheels across the office and smashes into a wall, which is just amazing. This movie is. Yeah, it's hard to do it justice, but I think there are so many moments in it that made me burst out laughing that I think I have to class it as a comedy, even though it's probably technically more of an action movie.
No, I would say comedies. Yeah, well, action movie, yeah, but like if you're gonna go if you're gonna put this in a box, I probably would put this in like a comedy box. It is very, very funny. Like it's a mixture of it's like an everything bagel in terms of genre, isn't it? This film.
It is. Yeah, I don't think it's just a clever name. It has everything in it. There's all these like there's literally references to 2001: A Space Odyssey littered throughout this, including the hot dog fingered monkeys or apes, I guess they are in 2001: A Space Odyssey, who learn to beat the non-hot dog fingered apes to death with I think it's still the bone. I can't remember, but. They're clearly fans of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and there's that like existentialism at the end of that movie is definitely in this as well, which is what elevates it from being just like the way we've described it probably makes it sound like it's just a sequence of insane visuals, which it is, but there is a legitimately heartwarming mother-daughter kind of story in there, and then also amazing action sequences, and then also hilarious toilet humor and Pomeranians being beaten to death.
It's just absolutely brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant.
It has it all. It has the whole thing. Okay, so rating then. We're arbitrarily required to rate these movies as we discuss them. So what are you giving it?
Hate me all you want, guys. Hate me all you want. I'm going for a 5 out of 5.
Here it comes.
5 star.
I think I gave this 5. I need to look back because if I'm inconsistent on what I say in this with my Letterboxd, they'll have me. They'll kick me off a Letterboxd. Okay, I give it 4. I mean, I could certainly see the argument for 5. I can't remember
4 with a like.
4. I need. Yeah, with a like. Oh yeah.
You
got the heart.
Yeah.
I think it's. No, I couldn't really tell you why I didn't give it 5 stars. It's probably going to be one of those movies that I watch again in like 5 years' time, and I'm like, this is clearly a 5-star movie. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I've just undermined my own credibility. But yes, a great movie and well worth checking out. And I think that is going to do it for us. Yeah, I'm just
one question and one question only.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't we do it this way this week, Conrad? What's your favorite movie?
We're changing it around.
Unprecedented. Let's ask you first.
My favourite movie is Hard Boiled, the John Woo action movie from 1992.
All right. Okay. I can see where
Not
how your brain.
mentioned.
Yeah, I can see how your brain went there.
I just plucked that off the top of my head. Like, what about yours?
My favorite movie this week is what my brother-in-law described as a mecha movie, and that, of course, is Ratatouille.
Mecha. As someone who watches mecha anime, I feel
that's definitely a mecha movie.
But
have you never seen Ratatouille?
No, there's no mecha in it.
Have you never seen the Ratatouille?
I have seen.
Oh, you don't get the somehow you don't get the joke.
I'm trying to understand the joke. He's just
literally
piloting him. Is that's the joke?
Yeah, he's the mech.
But like that means like any cowboy movie is a mecha movie because they're piloting horses. It doesn't work like that. You need to be piloting something mechanical.
Sorry guys. I don't know.
If it was,
I don't know.
Now, if what's his name? What's his name in Ratatouille? That character. It's not
Linguini, aka the mech.
Linguini. If Linguini was a robot human, then I'd be all for it. I'd be like,
how is he not a robot human?
And they should have
Conrad. How is he not a robot human? He's being controlled by levers.
And dreams.
No, he doesn't. He's been programmed to have them.
Well, I suppose he does do the hair thing, so they are sort of.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Maybe
that's why it's a mecha movie, because he's the mech. He's being controlled by a rat.
He's being piloted in the same way that one might pilot a horse. That's all. Yeah. Okay, well, get in touch in the comments and let us know what you think a mecha movie is, and whether Ratatouille or indeed Everything Everywhere All at Once counts as one, based on this incredibly broad. Aspects of it. Thank you to Nancy Wyatt and Jared Iscariot for the use of our theme song. You can find links to their stuff down in the description below. And thank you to you for listening and coming with us on this exciting journey. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think of Everything Everywhere All at Once, or what you've been watching this week. And we will see you, well, not same time, same place next week, because we're changing a few things around. You'll see that in a video that comes out next week, but it's good news, so something to look forward to. But suffice to say, I think everyone will be very happy with the direction that we're going in. That's what I'm going to say.
Autobots, roll out.